supposed to underachieve. Standards are held low for me.
I'm supposed to overachieve. Standards are held high for me.
It would not be uncommon for me to have a very low GPA and be barely passing high school.
And I supposedly dedicate all my time to my academic studies, and therefore, I'm not a well-rounded student.
Stereotyping is a major issue, no matter your age, background, social standing, or gender identity. We are all influenced by the expectations society holds for us. The most commonly falling victims to this are students, and more specifically, those who fall into minority groups. Our race defines who we are supposed to be, how we are supposed to act, and what we are supposed to be able to achieve.
Ever since a young age, we're all told we can grow up to be whatever we want to be. An actor, a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, the president, anything. But as we all start to grow up, get older and more mature, our eyes are opened, and society and culture start to influence and shape who we are and what we can and will become.
As students, we are faced with countless instances of racism every single day. And people often believe that my race causes me to be mentally inferior to them. I remember one day, this girl and I were having a conversation about all of our exciting new classes that year. And she was going on and on and on about how difficult all of her honors courses were. And when I said I was in honors courses as well, she did not believe me. She demanded that I show her my schedule to prove that I was really in honors classes. I was outraged. I mean, why should I have to prove myself to anyone? But I did it anyway. And afterward, I asked her why she just didn't believe me in the first place. And she replied with, "Oh, I don't know, you just don't look like someone who would be in higher classes." Considering this was the same girl who said, "We already freed the slaves. What more do black people want?" I figured her disbelief was due more to my race than anything else.
And then on the other hand of the spectrum, people believe that my race causes me to be mentally superior to them. When grades and classes are compared and I get a lower grade than the expected A, or I don't have a 4.6 GPA, I've often gotten surprised looks and insensitive remarks about how I'm not doing my Asian race justice by falling below the typical standards that society has branded us with. Even if these remarks are said in jest, it doesn't change the fact that it makes me feel ashamed that I can't maintain the same grades my other Asian peers are receiving. And it often can be very discouraging. Being adopted from China at a young age, I've always been told that I'm Amanda, and that being a different race or looking different doesn't at all affect the way people see me. However, when I come to school each day, my peers are constantly telling me the exact opposite, that race matters and that race defines.
Racial stereotyping is not only an issue at our school, it's everywhere. As long as society is composed of different cultures, cultural biases will inevitably exist.
And although our situations aren't the same, they're both linked, and they can both be attributed to the same common issue of cultural bias and unawareness.
What we've realized is that offensive preconceptions about others are instilled in us at a very young age and upheld by society throughout our lifespan. We are all guilty of sustaining prejudices in humanity.
At one point last year, I was doing some volunteer work when this little boy came up to me and he said, "You're not white, so you must be a slave." And at that moment, I was stunned. I had no idea how to respond. It's not often that someone will come up to you and make such an assumption, especially a 7-year-old boy. I think I was anticipating something more along the lines of, "Oh, girls have cooties," not, "You look different than me, your skin's a different color, so you're a slave." And since that experience, I haven't forgotten what he said to me, and all I can think about when I see him is the time that he made this racist comment. And sure, just a couple of seconds ago, we all kind of giggled at this experience, because who doesn't love the blatant honesty of children? But if we really take time to look into the situation, we'd see that it isn't funny, because racism isn't something to laugh about, and it's definitely not a joke.
What many people forget is that one person has the ability to influence so many more. This is how ideas are formed and generalizations are made, through communication.
But the problem is that many people don't recognize how much power their words hold, nor do they acknowledge how ignorant or upsetting their words can be.
Last year, I had the amazing opportunity of performing a song I had practiced at my school. I figured I had done a pretty good job receiving a standing ovation each night I sang. However, one night, we were all discussing the performances, and I heard someone say, "Alicia's voice isn't even that good. It's just a quality in her voice that all of her people share. and that's why people like her singing. I was devastated. This was a song that I had been practicing literally for years. I would work on it for hours and hours until I got frustrated, and I'd go to sleep, and the first thing I would do the next morning is work on it again. And this person had chalked up all of that hard work to being born into the right race. And the worst part is that people actually agreed with him. It made me feel as if anything I would ever work for in my life would never truly be appreciated because, hey, I'm Black. It's easy. Any Black person can do what I do.
I may sound cliche when I say this, but words hurt. They do. And it hurts when something you work so hard for is undermined, or you're judged for not being able to reach certain expectations because you're a certain race or you believe in certain values.
This is especially difficult as a student and an adolescent. We are at a time in our lives where we are deciding who we want to be and what we want to do with our future.
People will tell us not to care about what other people think. Be your own person. It's your life. But that's one of those things easier said than done. Instead of writing our own story, it seems as if we're constantly having to rewrite stories that other people have already written about us.
We can testify that earning a B on a test, being enrolled in AP classes, or receiving a standing ovation is not an easy or effortless task to complete.
And being born into a specific ethnicity doesn't grant us with any superpowers or magical abilities to excel in some areas more and then others less.
As difficult as it is to confront, making generalizations about other people is a part of human nature. You will judge others, and others will judge you. And truth be told, humanity can never be fully eradicated of its schemas.
These schemas seem to be set on a spectrum, and everybody wants to fall into the middle, the normal, the average. Nobody wants to be an outlier. But what we want to share with you is that we are the outliers, and the things that deviate us from being categorized as the norm, these supposed setbacks have become our greatest asset. By being exposed to racism now, we become more prepared to counter it in the future, and our own personal experiences have given us the courage to speak out about what we see in our world.
We have the power to think for ourselves, and we have the power to consider our own personal biases and how they affect other people. And more importantly, we have the power to become culturally aware of those around us.
And for students like us, we have the power to enroll in classes that make us happy, challenge ourselves, and reflect where our strengths lie. And we ultimately have the power to unlock our full potential.
I am African American.
And I am Asian American.
And we are no longer allowing racial stereotypes
To define who we are.